Okay, it's Sunday again, and after a little time away, I've been on holiday, so I've been quite busy at work, so we haven't been in the game in a little while. So we've been dying to, well, I've been dying to give the Dark Elves a try, and Si's going to slap me about with these High Elves. There's not actually a Demon Prince there, so, but Si's unfortunately lost a few of his models due to them being refiled somewhere. So he's got a couple of proxies there, so it's not actually Warriors of Chaos with Coal Franz and a Demon Prince. So yeah, so it's 3,000 points, it's a battle line game, and yeah, so this is the new Dark Elves. In fact there's no proxies in it, but yeah, it's obviously my older models. Well, actually there is one proxy with these guys. Right, so 3,000 points, I'll run through the army. So we have, these guys are counting as the Warlocks, actually just Blade Riders, or converted into, what are they called? Wild Riders, that's the one. But yeah, so the Warlocks this game. We have a Hydra, no upgrades, 9 Cold One Knights with a Noble BSB. We have 30 Corsairs with a Cauldron of Blood and a Death Hag. 20 crossbowmen with standard musician and a level 4 dark magic, a noble on a Pegasus, 20 blackguard. So you can have more than 20 now, but I just don't have any models, so I've got 20. Another Hydra, 18 Sisters of Slaughter, obviously just Witch Elf models. I just want to try them out, and 5 Dark Riders. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, so I've got Law of Dark Magic, and I have the 2 signature spells, Anzapul's of Black Horror and Word of Pain. And that's it. So have a look at, see what Si's got.
Okay, in my 3,000 points I have a unit of Reavers, then I have 14 Silver Helms with a hero. The Demon Prince is actually standing in for an Eagle, and I have 27 Swordmasters with a level 2 Wizard. This is actually going to be my Frostheart Phoenix. Carl Franz doesn't mind today. I have another Proxy Eagle, some more White Lion, well, a unit of 38 White Lions with BSB, which is a Lowland Sea Helm, and a level 4, it's not actually techless. And then I have another unit of Reavers over there, and then up here is a unit of 27 Spearmen with a hero with the Moranian's Wayshard. So they'll hopefully be coming in sort of turn 2 onwards. So yeah, with that, that is basically my deployment. We both rolled exceptionally poorly to deploy first. Thankfully, well, we both rolled 1s. Thankfully, I got the +1 for finishing my deployment first. So we will see you at the end of High Elf turn 1. Okay, it's the end of High Elf turn 1. Everyone moved up nice and aggressively into the battle line. These guys are still yet to come on. Then skip to the magic phase, where I rolled a 6 and a 1. None of us channeled, so 2 dice I put into a Soul Quench at the Hydra, and naturally rolled double 6. Then expecting then to roll double 1 for number of hits I'd get. I actually managed to get 11, and managed to get 3 wounds, which was rather nice. But yeah, that kind of put paid to any other spell casting, because even though I then rolled double 6 for what happened to the wizard, and he was level drained, unfortunately. But I only lost 1 level, so I lost Soul Quench. So a little bit disappointing there. I could have done without the miscast on the very first spell, but at least I've still got my general, so I'm happy with that. So yeah, with 5 other power dice, I really couldn't do anything because I'd lost no models, so regrowth was no good, and Dwellers Below was out of range. So with that, and no shooting, I called an end to the phase. So it's now Dark Elves turn 1.
Okay, it's the end of Dark Elves turn 1, and what an epic turn. Oh no, sorry, I was thinking something else. So I moved up. The Cold Ones passed the stupidity test for the first time ever. And this Hydra attempted to charge into his Reavers, who elected to flee. Deciding I didn't want to go into those, so I didn't bother trying to redirect. Obviously failed the charge because I went straight through the building. So that was it for movement, and everything else just moved up, as you can see. These guys stepped back, moved up. The Sisters of Slaughter moved up the building. Dark Riders moved up. So that was it for that. Magic phase, rolled a 6 and got a channel. So I started off by casting a Doom Bolt with my level 4 against these guys, and siphoned through all his dice on it and dispelled it. And then with my remaining 4 dice, I've cast another Doom Bolt with the Warlocks. Unfortunately rolled a double 6, did D3 wounds to the unit, did a 2, and I saved 1 with a ward, so 1 died. And I got off the Doom Bolt onto the Silver Helms, got 6, did 6 wounds, and Sire passed 4 of his saves, so 2 of those died. So that wasn't too bad, got something done. And then in the shooting phase, my Dark Riders fired at these guys, managed to cap one of them. And then my crossbows here fired at his Jedis, and so it reminded me that they have a ward save and shooting, which we're both amazed he remembered. They actually paid off because actually made 1 armour save and then made a ward save with another guy, so he only lost 3. So that was pretty good. And that was it. So it's the end of Dark Elves turn 1.
Okay, it's the end of High Elf turn 2. I declared a charge with the Silver Helms on the Cold One Knights. Silver Helms usually spend most of the game, games I tend to play, just running away constantly and then dying like bitches. So I thought, yeah, I'll actually charge in and do something with them. And yeah, unfortunately I needed a 9, and yeah, I didn't get it. So failed charge. So I moved my Eagle to redirect, wishing that that was indeed a barried up Warriors of Chaos Noble Demon Prince with all the trimmings. Then I moved up the Swordmasters, the White Lions, the other Eagle, my Frostheart Phoenix. I moved the other unit of Reavers to redirect the horrible thing, whose name escapes me, Hydra.
Which gained 2 wounds back.
Ah yes, which got 2 wounds back at the end of the go, that we forgot about. Then with all the movement, these guys failed to rally and moved a bit. So then with all that, I rolled a magic phase, so I got 4 dice. Ollie managed to get 3 dispel. So I went and cast Dwellers Below. The main reason was I was hoping that I could get it off and force Ollie to use his dispel scroll nice and early on in the game.
Which I would have gladly done.
Yes, but unfortunately I managed to miscast. I typically managed to roll Dimensional Cascades, wounded and killed 7 of my own men, and wounded the wizard himself, but in an incredible turn of fate, and I think for the first time in literally years, he didn't get sucked into the warp. But that's only because he's the level 2. If it had been on him, he would by now be having tea with Zinch. So, yes, unfortunately, because of that, they then panicked and scarpered, or as Ollie put, was taking him out to the locker room to have words with him about his spellcasting and how much he needs to practice. So it was then left to see what would happen, and yeah, quite an effective spell. It wiped out the unit champion, the crone on the Cauldron of Blood, and 15 guys. Without any ward saves, without any saves of any kind allowed, it got through the magic resistance and ward save that was on the Cauldron of Blood. So that was quite nice, but it was just unfortunate that they weren't in a position to make the greatest benefit of it, as they were too busy running away like little children. But it's elves. So yeah, with that, I had no shooting because my guys had failed to come on, and yeah. So with that, it's now time to go to the Dark Elf turn 2.
Okay, it's the end of Dark Elves turn 2, and I did a hell of a lot of charging. So I charged my Hydra into the Silver Helms. I charged my Cold Ones into the Eagle. This Hydra charged into the Reavers. These guys charged into the White Lines, and he held. Then I elected to charge him with these. He held, but then he reformed his unit, so I did originally have a flank, so I had to go in the front, which is a shame. So that's what happened there. This guy charged into these guys. They obviously fled. So he redirected into the Phoenix, which I was hoping was going to go better. As you can probably tell already, it didn't go very well. The normal movement, I moved the Cauldron over, just to try and get it over here, to give them rerolls to wound. Abandoning the Corsairs, who I've decided I'm not going to take much part of this battle. So that was it for movement. Then the magic phase, I only got 5 dice to size 3, and I threw them all at a Word of Pain on these guys, the juiced up version, but didn't get irresistible, so I just dispelled it. The reason I did that threw all the dice just because all my other spells were magic missiles, and anything to actually target was the Eagle. And as I had 20 crossbowmen with nothing to do, I decided they would just do that, so I just threw all the dice at it. So yeah, unfortunately it didn't go through. And then in the shooting phase, the crossbowmen did that. They killed the Eagle. Dark Riders just move around here as well. Actually forgot to shoot them. That doesn't matter. The Warlocks just moved up here. Then in close combat, didn't go so great. So the Hydra moved in, and so I did a couple of wounds to it, and that was the first combat we did. So he actually won the combat. Hydra fled, but he caught it, so that got killed. Which is unfortunate because the Cold One Riders were really looking forward to getting in there, but because they killed it instead of pursuing, because if they pursued they would have hit his Eagle and been behind it, and then I could have killed his Eagle and overrun into him. Because he because he caught it, he just had to reform. So in order to get into them, I'd have to overrun 8 or more, which of course I failed after I butchered the Eagle. So I'm looking at a flank charge now, and because I'm immune to sight, I can't flee. So that's really bad news. These guys are just sitting here, nothing to do. Same with those. This was a bit tragic. I charged in, he did a wound to me, I killed 2 of him, and he held. So that was a shame. That reminds me, at the end of the turn, let's see if he keeps his wounds up. No, he doesn't.
Oh, he doesn't deserve it.
Owned by those guys. And then in this combat, it went pretty well actually. So I charged in here, obviously Noble went first, just because he has the highest initiative. Then all my guys went. I get the +1 to hit and wound with these guys because of his strength. So I went at him. I put quite a few attacks on his BSB because the Golden Crown of Altrazar and Shield of Merlin. So the only one I actually got through was because the Crown of Altrazar actually failed him. So his BSB is still alive. Unfortunately, his wizard didn't fare so well. He got utterly brutally slaughtered and chopped up and cut to pieces and murdered, and that was just horrendous. So yeah, he was really dead. I was hitting him on 2s with a reroll and wounding him on 3s with a rerolling on 1. So it was horrendous. Then between all these guys, I killed another 11 white lines, which was really nice. Unfortunately, there's a shitload of white lines there, and when they chopped back, they killed 9 blackguard and 3 sisters. Obviously, the ward save saved some of the sisters. So yeah, so that was pretty horrendous. But although I did win the combat by a fair bit, he is still stubborn, and because his BSB is still alive, he's still stubborn 9 on a reroll, so he held. So that's going to grind on a bit more. Don't know how that's going to go really. And this combat was tragic. I charged in because I've got the Cloak of Twilight, which gives me D3 wounds on the charge, and I've got a Lance. Obviously I get -1 strength, which is unfortunate, but I'm still hitting on 3s with a reroll. Oh no, sorry, didn't get the reroll because he's obviously giving me all strikes last. I still went before him, hit with all of them, felt to wound with all of them, so didn't actually do any wounds. He didn't actually wound me, or he did wound me, but I made 1 save. So I didn't take any wounds, so I won the combat, but it passed because the BSB is right next to him. So that was a push, and now it's not in my favour anymore because obviously I don't have my Lance bonus, and the Cloak of Twilight's only on the charge. So I'm now effectively strength 3 against the Bloody Great Phoenix, so that's bad. In fact, if that was Carl Franz, I'd probably just be just as screwed as I am right now. So, other than that, that was pretty much it. So, not the greatest. The only real success this turn was the grind here, which is not necessarily in my favour. Although I did slot his general, which was nice, because he really needed that leadership 9. Because apparently the most elite troops are in leadership 8, so which is the kiss of death. Because that's a Space Marine leadership. So that's the end of Dark Elves turn 2. Phoenix is everything.
Okay. It's the end of High Elf turn 3. I charged the Silver Helms at the Black Ark Corsairs, and then chopped them up. I didn't do as well as I wanted to, as I whiffed all but 3 of my normal attacks. But thankfully he didn't manage to do any wounds in return, so I still won a combat. Then unfortunately I wanted to hold myself in place, but they were having none of it and they were going to chase their guys down. So yeah, unfortunately that's a bit bollocks me there. My spearmen came on, finally. I could have done with them really last turn. Well, this is really only turn 3, so when I say finally, it's yeah. It just feels like it's a bit longer in the foot of the game. And yeah, they're unfortunately well, they've come in there. They shot and killed 4 of the crossbowmen. My swordmasters came back. I also managed to regrow 4 of them using my regrowth spell in magic phase. Couldn't do anything else. My reavers also came back. Then over here I did 2 wounds to the noble, taking 9 return. And yeah, unfortunately lost quite a few guys there, but I was still stubborn. As you can see, that's the dead pile. So I'm just down to front rank. So yeah, I'll be losing them next turn, unfortunately. But yes, this is the way it is. So yeah, with that, that was pretty much it for the. Yeah, that was pretty much it for the combat. So pretty even Stevens. I've mauled the Black Guard unit pretty badly now, so they should be relatively easy to break. The Sisters of Slaughter, they haven't really taken many casualties. I think they're down about 1/3 of the unit.
Yeah, not many at all.
Yeah, I think I've only lost like 4 or 5 guys, but their wall savers is pretty nasty to get through. But now I've got some swordmasters, I can actually start doing some stuff. So yeah, with that in mind, it is well, it's now basically Dark Elves turn 3.
Okay, it's the end of Dark Elves turn 3, and it's taken a turn for the well, the obscene really. It's gone pretty well. So, but only because Si's been a bit unlucky with his parent. Anyway, so charge-wise, I charged something. Oh yeah, I declared a charge with my Hydra into his Lothern Sea Guard. and they had to make a terror test, and they rolled a double 6, and then they rolled another double 6, so they didn't roll a 4.
Well, they were pretty much off the board anyway, but it was the double 6 that really got the boot in for the distance they ran.
So the Hydra was expecting to own them anyway, but yeah, he owned them even quicker. So they weren't stupid, so they went home. So all they did was pop on the board, shoot 2 crossbowmen, 3 crossbowmen,
Kill 4 crossbowmen,
then run off again. So yeah, but that's what I expect from high elves. Just turning up, killing a few dark elves, and saying they were victorious. At least they'll have some survivors to this game, because I'm going to slaughter them all if they don't stop running away. Because yeah. So I moved these guys up just to kind of harass them. These guys are obviously in combat. I moved the cauldron up to give them rerolls to wound, and these guys rerolls to wound. Because I reformed to shoot at the silver helms. Then in the magic phase, rolled 3. So side 2 I had 1, had 3, and so I cast the Doom Bolt, failed to dispel it, and I managed to kill 2 or 3 of them.
You killed 1.
Okay, I killed 1. Quite elf. This is my version of history.
Oh no, it's your crossbow and all the legends.
Yeah, well, so that was the magic, then the shooting with crossbows murdered 3.
Yeah.
Which was nice. These guys shot off, may have killed a swordmaster, I can't remember.
No, I jammed a double 6.
Oh yeah, he Jedi'd it. So that was that, and then in close combat, my Blackguard, well they went at the same time but I rolled the Blackguard first. Blackguard just murdered all of them, did exactly 10 wounds and killed all of them. So that was lovely, I was very happy about that. Unfortunately the combat here didn't go so well, as my guy managed to wound but he saved it with his armour, and then he butchered me, and now he's facing a really bad way, and it's gonna dirty touch me now. So yeah, so that was the end of close combat. When I was shooting at these guys and consequently killed 3 of them, they failed the panic test, which no one saw coming. He was on leadership 9, he failed it by running 11 again. He's rolled for just about everything so far. So they're actually booking it in quite a bad position now. So yeah, that's not good. But he's got his Phoenix up and running, which is really bad for me because I haven't even scratched it yet. So we'll have to see what happens in High Elves turn 4.
Okay, it's the end of High Elf turn 4. Not such a great turn, but I had to make the most of it. Move the Swordmasters up. Basically I need to get some points, so these guys need to go. There's not really anything else I can do about that. I charged the repeated crossbowman with with Frost Art Phoenix. I killed quite a few. I think I killed about 6, including the Thunderstomp, but it wasn't enough to break Steadfast, unfortunately. And yeah, they still resolutely decided not to flee. So yeah, with that in mind, with these guys having come back from fleeing, but they're really out of position, so I'd have to hope that they failed a stupidity test. It pretty much looks like what happens next turn decides the fate of the game. So with that, it's on to Dark Elf turn 4.
Okay, it's the end of Dark Elves turn 4, and so I declared a charge on the Silver Helms. They looked to flee. Unfortunately I wasn't thinking straight and didn't attempt to redirect, so I just attempted to charge after them, which was a bit silly. So he fled, ran all the way through his Phoenix, and then bounced out past my Blackguard and my sisters, didn't take any dangerous terrain. Then I declared a charge with my Cauldron, chased him off even further, but he didn't actually run off the board. Then the Blackguard and the sisters charged into his Swordmasters. These guys just reformed to get out of the way. And these guys are still fighting the Phoenix. These guys just moved over here to shadow his fast cav, and the Dot Riders moved up to shoot them. And that was it for movement. Then the magic phase, I don't remember having a magic phase.
You just ignored it. Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably did. Yeah, I didn't even bother with the magic phase, just because I forgot. Yeah, fair enough. I actually got the shooting phase as well, but it doesn't matter.
I don't think you had one because...
No, I had the Dart Riders to shoot them, but I never did.
Oh, yes.
That doesn't matter. Then in the close combat phase, which is obviously where it was all going to happen, I went straight to this combat, and my Blackguard and my sisters tore them a new one. Killed shitloads of them. In return, he killed 4 of the Blackguard, a few of the sisters, but I did actually win the combat. He wasn't steadfast, and I unfortunately caught him, so the Swordmasters died. Then in this combat he murdered a hell of a lot of crossbowmen, so I wasn't steadfast, and I broke and ran like 6. Then even with Swift Stride he rolled a 3. A 3, yeah. And failed to catch it. So although I'm booking it and need the double one to run off, he didn't actually catch me. And I think the writing's on the wall at this point. So the Silver Helms were fleeing, but they were still on the board. My general and the crossbows were on the board. Yeah, so looks like a victory to the Dark Elves even. So pretty close game. It's just unfortunate, so I rolled those horrendous panic tests. But the combat itself was quite satisfying because it was a real slugfest. And I'm really happy with these units, which pretty much carried the day because everyone else was just like, I mean, the Corsairs did nothing. These guys killed an eagle and just got out of position. The Hydras did horrendous. The Cauldron did was pretty handy.
That Hydra did really well.
What did that kill? Oh yeah, it terrored off the Lothan Sea Guard,
yeah.
Which was nice. Okay, that's fair enough. And it killed some Reavers as well, and didn't die. These guys obviously booking it. They did right. They killed some Silver Helms and stuff, so that was quite satisfying. But yeah, really, these guys working together. Obviously, a higher initiative than the units they fought. A lot of the rerolls to wound from the Cauldron when it was in range, and the +1 to wound and hit for these girls against the White Lions. meant they did really well, and so they managed to kill both these hordes of horrible stuff. The White Lions and the Swordmasters. They killed his general, they killed his backup wizard, they killed his BSB, they killed, was it like 38 White Lions?
Yeah.
And 30 Swordmasters. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, it's the rerolls to hit and wound really served you well for those two units, which is tough for the. Is going to be always going to be tough for the High Elves to
yeah, for the Great Weapon High Elves at least. Yeah.
I think
the Phoenix Guard or someone would have done better.
Yeah, which I think what the problem with my army was that there was too much great weapon, so I couldn't.
Yeah, I was going to have the advantage against the great weapon stuff, just because obviously I get the rerolls.
Although to be fair, with initiative 6, I would have only had one unit anyway that would have been able to match your speed, but
yeah.
So
overall, I'm pretty happy with everything. The cold ones are out of position. I didn't find any stupidity, which is nice. These have just got dwellered. That's what happens to units that get dwellered. So, but really, the units for me are the Blackguard and the Sisters. I'm particularly a fan of the Sisters. I wanted to try them, but I actually really like them. So, probably going to use those again. Blackguard were good. Kind of missed the 5-up Wardsow from the old Cauldron, but just it gave them a bit of survivability. But at least they still chop stuff up. Probably give them the one of these units at least the Razor standard next time. Stormers guys were an issue. But they really dished it out, and I'm very happy with that. So nice to have a non-hoarded unit, which is still going to put out a lot of damage. Obviously they're slightly better against High Elves than most things, but they're still good. So I was happy with those. Yeah, so overall I really like the list. Like I say, one of the main reasons I took the Corsairs over loads and loads of Witch Elves, because I don't have loads and loads of Witch Elves. And I don't know, I just really like the Corsair models and I wanted to use them, so that's my main motivation for that. I like the Blackguard over Executioners just because I like the rerolls to hit. Obviously wounding's much better with the Executioners. I'd rather hit first, so I prefer the Blackguard. Although the new execution models do look really good, I'm going to try and avoid them. Just for, I feel too many of my armies have big hordes of great weapon wielding guys, and it's just kind of like a bit of a cliche now. So trying to avoid it with this army. So the Blackguard, and really when they have the Cauldron as a backup, they are pretty damn good. So I like those. What's this? Yeah, anyway, just kind of rambling now. Dark Riders were excellent, really useful. Just felt like they were Johnny on the spot with the shooting. Yeah, pretty happy with my plan, which was just sit there for a turn and then do loads of charging. It was quite a fast game, really. Well, it wasn't fast to play necessarily, but it was fast. And by turn 4, it was definitely clear who had won. The combats were very satisfying as well. You know, there was no like, if I charge you, then you lose kind of thing. Like, so like his Gutstar or my, I don't know. I'm sure I got something that kills stuff on the charge. But you know, just that kind of like totally mismatched combat. This was a really good fight. You know, really whittled my units down. So very satisfying game. The magic was pretty lackluster. We rolled horrendous magic phases, like topping up at I think 7 lice once. So the magic didn't really get off. I'm not a big fan of dark magic on a level 4. I just I think the laws are pretty good, but there's too much kind of pew pew, and I like the more supporty spells like Law of Life. So I'd probably change my level 4 to a Law of Life or something like that. I don't really think dark magic's worth it on a level 4. Because the range issue on a lot of them, I mean, they're better range than they used to be. But it's too pew-pewy, and I'm not a big fan of like Purple Sun, and this is just like another Purple Sun. I'm just not a fan of doing things like that. So, Doombolt's good. Doombolt, you can have lots of Doombolt. Doombolt's fine. I like Doombolt, and the Power of Darkness is good. But that's why I'll probably take a level 2 with it, because I can get Power of Darkness and Doombolt. So. And as Side pointed out to me, which I didn't actually realise, the Tome of Fury only works on dark magic. So I kind of like I'll have a level 2 and then just pick some nice spell from like Law of Shadow or something. So really a level 4's the way to go with the other laws, and a level 2 with dark magic, or a couple of level 1s or something like that. But yeah, well, I like the Dark Elf book. I think it's a pretty good book. There's some garbage in there in terms of like just really weird little things like the shrine thing with the the Medusa. I find those things like that are a bit trashy, but there's a lot of fun stuff. I really like the sisters in terms of like their kind of background story and that. I love the Corsairs. Any kind of pirate-y type thing's good, even if it is elf pirates. Yeah, so it was nice to play the Dark Elves. I certainly think they're a hell of a lot less cheesy than they used to be, which is fine by me because I felt bad playing side with them. But now I really feel like it's quite a balanced army. Obviously, Side suffered a bit because obviously I have hatred against him, so that cost him.
They've had hatred against High Elves since the dawn of time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But then you've also had the re-rolls to hit against them because of the All Strikes First, haven't you? So.
Well, yeah, I think that was only last edition where that functioned quite.
Yeah, I know, but that's the games we've played. I've never played you prior to 8th edition, so in terms of fantasy. So, but yeah, so good book, good game. Quite happy with this. Might change it a bit. Good fun. So I'm going to hand you over to Si now, see what he thought of the game and Dark Elves in general.
Yes, considerably less cheesy. It's interesting actually because now they've lost Eternal Hatred. How they do against other armies, I'd be interested to see, because obviously rerolls to hit, their high weapon skill means that they're going to be hitting on 3s, but without that reroll to hit that they've always been guaranteed in the previous edition, I think.
Well, they're still good at it because they've got All Strikes First.
Yes.
They got it probably more consistently.
Yes, that's a bloody good point. Yes. Yeah, well, that's pretty much it. It's always kind of the difficulty of fighting the Dark Elves, because they are meant to be just that little bit better than the High Elves, simply because of the hatred. I started playing Dark Elves for that exact reason, when I had enough of getting trounced by my mate's High Elf army. So I played Dark Elves and never lost a game against his High Elves. So yeah, that was it was always pretty good. But yeah, that was it. This was an exceptionally close game, because if you kind of look at what he had left, he had practically no crossbowmen, very few Corsairs, practically no Blackguard.
But to be honest, if they got another 10, they would have run off the board anyway, because on double ones.
Yeah,
so lost the general.
and half a unit of these Sisters of Slaughter. So you know that's pretty getting on for pretty much most of his army gone. He had a Hydra with 2 wounds left. He had, you know, it was pretty beaten up. So it goes to show that the sort of knife edge, if the knife edge had swung the other way, then it would probably be me on the other side. I dare say equally smashed up, but ultimately the victor. It was very, very close, and it's good to see. I actually think this is a pretty balanced book when you consider it. Although, like he says, you fight executioners with killing blow. Well, not the killing blow really matters, particularly in my army.
Yeah, I've had a horde of guys with strength 6. Who cares about killing blow?
That's it. I mean, executioner versus white lion.
Yeah,
odds are pretty even, aren't they? Because you get each gets through the other's armour.
Yeah.
Each is pretty.
2's hitting on 4.
Yeah, so it's in that kind of respect, it's pretty even keel. But yeah, I was just marred by some pretty terrible leadership tests. The terror bomb over there, losing my spearman, hurt badly. Although it wasn't the end of the world. Really, what spelled the end of the game for me was over there when my Silverhelms. The Silverhelms failed to finish finish off the Black Ark Corsairs quick enough for my liking, because the original plan was to get the Corsairs, basically wipe them down to lower than 25%, and then let them run off the board of their own accord. Then turn to face the crossbowmen.
The Silverhelms really suffer, because obviously they lose their rerolls to hit, and they're only hitting on 4s against these guys.
Yeah.
And you roll pretty bad as well.
I rolled absolutely. I mean, to be fair, I think averages.
Well, you did break them actually, but
averages would have done me well enough. Because I had quite a lot of guys there.
We had 2 up armor savings as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you did break them, but
I did, but I didn't do enough wounds.
It was just unfortunate you didn't catch them.
Well, I the plan was never to catch them. The plan was actually to.
You tried to read them.
My initial plan was to let them. Basically, the plan was to get them below 25%, let them run off the board of their own accord, and then go on to your general's unit. Because I would be right up to them, they would have no stand and shoot, which would then mean that I would get into them unmolested on a charge and do them some pretty serious hurt. And like I say, with a 2-up armour save in close combat, I was pretty confident that I would have enough to break his steadfast and actually be able to then charge them down. Because with those 2 units removed, it then opened up the board for attacking. Well, I was hoping that the Hydra would get tangled up with me spearman, and the spearman would sort of eventually finish it off. Because I had a great weapon wielding guy in there as well to try and get it down, and without its regen save there, the spearman, I think the spearman on that would have probably been enough to finish the job. Although the chariot being where it was would have caused me
this game is
great difficulty.
Because it's pretty decent. You know, it's got like toughness 6, 5 wounds, 4 up ward, and it's got impact hits. And at the end of the day, it's got like a witch elves on it and a death hag. Well, the death hag was dead, but
yeah.
yeah.
So I mean,
impact hits.
I would, yeah. I mean, the way it could have gone would have been, I think, you know, like, if things had gone my way, it would have probably been gotten rid of 2 of those units. These guys would have been out of position, and I could have chaffed them up a bit with my Reavers over there, and then it would have allowed me to bring the Swordmasters in and the Silverhelms to finish the job down here. Although I can kind of in some ways see why probably some of the battle reports out there don't actually use these Sisters of Slaughter, is because obviously they've well, I suppose people think they've got no defence until they get into close combat. So I suppose people's thought is that they're just going to get whittled down.
That's because 10 models are 35 quid and they don't want to take the risk of converting it to say it might be rubbish.
Yeah, well, that's kind of it. Because I suppose if you think about it, you've got Witch Elves, which are frenzied,
Witch Elves are
butchering death
monsters.
No
question, Witch Elves are excellent.
Or you got them that are going to, you know,
these are like 4 points more than a Witch Elf. So.
They're good. I'll give you that. But yeah, I mean,
I really like the idea of using them with Law of Life. I'd definitely change my level 4 to life, I think, for this sort of list.
Yeah. That was
on the whole, I quite like the list, though. Pretty decent list.
Yeah, well, it's very, very similar to the one that you had before. With
it is
just
though.
things
swapped
around.
I tried to use the models already had.
So it is pretty much just swapped around. It's just the repeater crossbowmen have been well, basically banged up into one unit.
Yeah. That was just so it could really benefit from the rerolls to wound.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. So until that's FAQ'd, I mean, or if it gets FAQ'd, that is.
Yeah, well, to be honest, from what it says, I can't see any reason why it would. But I mean, if it does, then fair play. But
yeah, well, I was gonna say rerolls to wound in shooting is a bit dirt, but like you say, that's the rules at the moment. So
yeah, well, you pay 300 points for this thing. You put a unit within 6 of it, get rerolls to wound. It's not that crazy. Yeah. I mean, it didn't exactly break the game, did it?
Well, no. Although it did do an exceptional number of wounds to those cavalry, because what was it?
Or 3.
Well, you got 12. I think you got 13 wounds on those. You got 13 wounds on those guys.
Yeah.
From 20 shots.
But then,
but yeah,
that's when people end up complaining about stuff. When they go, "Oh, that's really fair," and then something horrible happens to them, then they'll moan about it. You know,
yeah. Well, like I say, we'll see what happens. But until then,
I wasn't using it to be.
We're playing it as well. No,
I was just using it because that's what it says.
Yeah. Well,
call me crazy, but if the book says
to be fair,
do this.
I would have.
That's what I do.
I would have done it. I would have done exactly the same. I would have run that. Just like a, I would have run that. Just like a.
You go on a forum and you instantly get this bad, you get this kind of bad vibe, and then you're afraid to do things because of the debate.
Well, I must admit,
it clearly says in there what it does.
I've not actually seen anyone complaining about it on the forum. So whether no one's tried it yet, or whether everyone just accepts that is the case, I don't know. Although for Warseer, I find that exceptionally difficult to believe. They'll always find something.
They're going to start on forums. But yeah, I did what it said in the book, and if that's wrong, then.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't really see. Well, that's the rule, so that's it. And like I say, I picked the book up myself, and I was sitting there thinking I would have a nice big unit of Witch Elves.
But this is what I mean. I don't even know if people would think it was some crazy broken rule if they hadn't gone on forums in the first place. It's because someone didn't like it. They said, "Oh, this is crazy." Then a debate opens about it. But really, just do what it says. It's quite clear what it says.
I mean, I would if I was doing that, I would probably have a couple of units of crossbowmen supporting some Witch Elves, and march it down the centre. And close combat, it's gonna hurt, and in shooting beforehand, it's gonna hurt. So you're going to whittle down your enemy as you go.
There's so many things you can get within 6 of that thing. It's not like you're not sending around 2 of them.
Well,